No Jim.
You're all set to begin.
Thank you. All right. Welcome to the Hyannis Main Street Waterfront Historic District Commission. This is July 17th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. To all persons deemed interested or affected by the Town of Barnstable's Hyannis Main Street Waterfront Historic District Commission ordinance under Chapter 112, Article 3 of the Code of the Town of Barnstable, you are hereby notified that a hearing is being held at Town Hall, 367 Main Street, Hyannis, Massachusetts Selectmen's Conference Room, second floor, 6:30 p.m. on Wednesday, July 17th, 2024. This meeting of July 17th, 2024 is being recorded and broadcast on the Town of Barnstable's Government Access Channel. In accordance with MGL Chapter 30A, Section 20, the Chair must inquire whether anyone else is recording this meeting, and if so, to please make their presence known. And could everyone please make sure they have silenced or put on vibrate their cell phones. Thank you. All right, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Commissioner Perry Wentworth? Here. Commissioner Conrad, the full members. Conrad, you're the last full position, is that right, Jim?
Conrad is an alternate.
It's an alternate, okay. Commissioner Conrad Watson? Here. Commissioner Kevin Matthews? That's right, Kevin is not here, he may come in. Commissioner Cornelius Crawley is not here. Commissioner Hinckley Needham not here. Commissioner Matt Clark? Here. Commissioner Laura Cronin? Here. Commissioner Jack Kay?
Here.
Commissioner Tom Doherty?
Here.
And I, Cheryl Powell, am also here. Thank you and welcome. Would staff please introduce themselves? And Jim, I think you have an announcement of another valued member, contributor.
Go ahead, Karen.
Karen Pina, Admin Assistant, Planning and Development.
I'm Jim Kupfer, Interim Director, Planning and Development, and with me tonight is Corey Pacheco, our new senior planner, relatively new. He's been around for a couple months now, but and he has a great background in preservation, so he's going to be helping me with a number of preservation and housing initiatives for the town. So thought this would be a good way to get him familiar with all the different boards, committees, and commissions.
We welcome you, and we appreciate your help. Thank you. Also, I'd like to acknowledge Town Councilor Charles Bloom. Thank you very much for coming tonight.
Thank you.
So, trainings, please make sure you've done your conflict of interest training. Also, there's nothing with regard to awards tonight. There is correspondence, which I will read. It's with regard to a previous applicant who was before us with regard to Champ House. Hi, Karen. I wanted to follow up and let you know that both Adam and I have conflicts for the next two HHDC meetings. Could you please move the Champ's House applications to the second meeting in August, the 21st? Thank you, Allison. So we're going to check that it's still within the 45-day regulations, and if it isn't, then we will get an extension sent out, so that takes care of that formality. So I can put that over here.
Just to clarify, you will have to vote on that continuation at the next meeting, because they were continued to the next meeting.
Absolutely. Thank you for reminding me. So can I have a motion to continue the Champ's House?
Not yet. No, it's not on the agenda this evening. It's on the agenda
that's right.
at the last meeting. It was continued to the first meeting in August.
Just to clarify why that is, it has to be on the agenda for a vote, so my error there. Okay, so...
Can I just, clarification?
Absolutely, anytime.
If at the second meeting they don't attend, they don't automatically get extended, correct?
Well, they've asked to be extended to the 21st.
Yeah.
And we're going to check to see if it's still within the 45-day time frame.
Right.
And if it isn't within that, you have so much time, then we will send them an extension, but can still vote on a continuance. Right now, we're just going to check on the 45-day because they've already asked. Well, they've asked for the extension, and they weren't actually scheduled for tonight, were they?
No, they were scheduled for the 7th.
That's what I thought.
Jim is saying you can
So,
vote on that at the 7th.
At the 7th. So we will make a note to vote on that at the 7th. And by that time, we'll know about the 45 days and if an extension has been signed.
I guess that's my question. If it is outside the 45 days, they've asked for it to continue to the 21st, and that is, in fact, outside the 45 days,
Then correct me if I'm wrong, but it can go two ways. We can send them an extension, and we would vote on an extension, to make sure we can do that. And if we want to, and I wouldn't see any reason why not, but if we did not want to extend it, I believe the commission has the right to say not to extend it.
Yeah, it's just mutually agreed to extend, so it's not automatic in any way. So at the next meeting, if you're okay, if the commission's okay with continuing the matter to the whatever the meeting date that they requested,
21st.
and it's outside the 45 days, we send them a sheet, an extension form that they sign, preferably before you guys take a vote on that continuation. So they say, we're going to extend the deadline to October, and you guys say, we're going to, great, we accept the continuation to August 24th or whatever it might be. So basically you're saying both parties are agreeing that there's going to be no constructive approval, and then you guys are going to just take up the matter at the subsequent meeting, whatever date you guys agreed to.
And in other words, they were down for August 7th. We
Right.
knew that was fine, but so we have until, we're fine till then. And if we find that they're outside, we'll just say, take a wait, let's send the extension and do it then. So it's just ways to handle different situations. It doesn't come up very often, so I'm glad you asked that question. Did that clarify it for you, Laura?
Yes, did they?
Okay. All right, so I read that correspondence, not totally necessary to read the procedure and purpose, everyone. New business is Benjamin Yeransian, 394 South Street, Hyannis, map 308, parcel 128. Is that yourself?
That is so.
Excellent, welcome.
Thank you.
Would you like to come up, sign in, and say who you are? This is with regard to renovations. You have the materials for it. And while
Madam-
you're signing
Madam
in,
Chair, I need to recuse myself from this particular property because I'm a neighbor.
thank you for doing that.
I can-
And while he's signing in, just to say we have the Chapter 112 for historic properties, the demolition jurisdiction and that, the question came up last time. Jim and Karen very kindly, put this together for you, because this will be with regard to something that's coming up before us, just so that we make sure that we're very versant in it. Welcome again.
Thank you very much.
So, can you tell us a little bit about your project?
Yeah, so I actually have some pictures here. Basically, we want to put a door on the second story of the side of my property, and then a staircase, a direct shot up from the ground level towards the back of the house, up to that small landing, and then a door, and that'll give access to basically the attic storage and the adjacent home office. While we're at it, or actually the reason we wanted to do this to begin with was because the siding is actually getting it needs to be replaced. I wouldn't say moldy, but it's like spongy and mossy. And yeah, exactly, which you can kind of see this picture gives a good reference.
This one does as well.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's when they pulled some off to see how it was, and it definitely needs to be replaced. So we're going to the plan is to replace that with eastern white cedar siding, which I think there's a sample shingle by the company Maybec, M-A-I-B-E-C, and that matches the existing.
And some of your materials here.
Oh yeah,
as well.
there.
Do you want me to pass these around?
Sure, yeah. And you can see that this side of the garage is the same shingles. Here, I'll pass this around. These are, this
Okay,
is
I'm going to
existing
send
on the
this one
property.
this way. I'm going to ask you to pass this down to Commissioner Cronin to the left, please.
And then I'll pass these around too. These are pictures from the street. So the street view of what they would see from the street of this project. We're trying to keep it to a minimal view from the street. But overall, it should increase the aesthetics of the property, improve the water permeability of the building, and overall value, and it'll give access to the second floor, another egress.
Okay. So, Commissioners, do you have any questions with regard to the presentation?
I'm confused. Is there a picture of a conception of what it's going to look like when it's
Yes.
completed?
Yep. Yeah, we have the building plan. I can give you. Okay. Yeah, so the second page of the building plan shows you.
Yeah, I thought I saw it.
Read through the line. There you go.
No, I know, but is there a sketch or,
Yeah, so that, see how the
so
staircase
it's
is
just
like.
this one side of the building you're doing?
Yeah, if you're looking at it from the street, it's the right side.
Oh, okay. And you're going to add a window, right? You're not adding a window?
No, so we're
Take 'em out.
replacing that, we would replace that window with a door.
And the door, you're going to put in a door. Is there, what does the door look like?
Oh, the door, okay.
You had
Oh,
a
it's
picture of the door, didn't you?
Yep, this is exactly what it would look like. So this is the existing door on the property, like all of the doors. So it would match the existing doors.
And the color's going to stay the same as, what's the front of the building now?
It's that blue color there.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Commissioner Wentworth?
Thank you. My question is relative to this picture.
Yes.
The front of the building. Where am I looking at? Is this the end that we're talking about?
Correct, yep.
Okay, and so really, that's over, I'd have to walk around here to see that.
Right.
Okay, thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Yeah, I would say most people wouldn't see it from the street. I mean, I stand in the front yard in the middle of it, and people drive by and they never look over. Like
You
it's
just
strange.
answered my question, thank you. Huh?
Picture.
Laura, have you had a chance? Have these gone your way?
Yes, I've seen them, thank you.
And this is the one here, it's going to be,
Yep. It's the existing front door. Thank you.
make sure we give everything back to you. Yeah. So, any other questions on the presentation from the commissioners?
Is there a picture of the actual railing besides, is that what the railing's going to look like, or?
Yeah. As far as an actual picture of the railing, like a rendering,
Yeah.
I could create one, but
And is that going to be wood, or?
yes. Yep.
And white or what color?
Yes, yeah, it'll be painted white. Yeah.
I'd like to see more detailing on the railing, see what,
Yeah, I could get a rendering made and send it over to you. The idea, again, is that it'll be hopefully not visible at all from the street because it's a straight shot back towards the back of the house versus coming out towards the front.
Any other questions from the commissioners on the presentation? Open it up for public comment. Keeping public comment open until we go for a motion, or whether that be on, with regard to this, on acceptance or not, or continuation. Because Commissioner Doherty, I think it's perfectly reasonable to want further details on the railing, but it's how the other commissioners feel. Any other, oh, yes.
Well, I just
Jim.
wanted to add that because two members are missing, both alternates are available to vote on this matter.
Thank you.
One more question.
Yes.
Often I've seen the supplier's booklet with these kinds of drawings, but then and I had a chance to look at them, they were sent out a little earlier. But this is hard to get what it's really going to look like. And so something like that would be fine with me if I could see what the supplier is suggesting it's gonna look like this as a finished product.
Absolutely. I could get a rendering made tonight and have it to you tomorrow. And it would, 3D realistic render of what it would actually look like.
Excellent. It's not that we don't like the project, it's simply we need more detail to understand it.
Oh, yeah, makes sense.
Any other, Jerry? That addresses?
No, I have nothing further.
Yeah, so, all right, so how do we feel about it? And I have left public comment open until we go for any motion on where decisions. Do we want to go for a continuation to get those further details?
I would. I'd just like to
Okay.
see it.
I agree with that.
I think I do too. So that will have to go to a vote. I would suggest that the motion for the continuation, would be for more detail, and correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, or if anyone feels it should have more details in the railing and with the rendering, and more details with regard to the finished product. I think, the rendering of that finished product showing the railing and what's going to be there would be quite helpful and would probably address those comments that have been made here tonight.
It
Have I
seems
missed
great.
anything?
It seems very good, a great project. I'd just like to see a little more detail.
Okay, yeah. And is that something that, could be approved contingent on receiving that rendering? So, or would it need to wait till, the next meeting?
Well, it would be contingent on us being received and liking it, so it's
Right.
best to go for a continuance.
Okay.
Because
Does that mean,
it's not going for an approval tonight, let's
Right.
continue and see the material. Do we have, we're okay for August 7th, are we not? Is that okay? Is that too short a time? Do you want to go for a later one?
oh, no, as soon as possible is.
Our next
yeah.
meeting is August,
Yeah,
oh, when is the baby due?
September 21st.
First one?
Yep, first one.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I'm trying to finish any, renovations, so there's not construction going on
I
while
understand.
having a newborn, but.
I understand entirely. So let's put it on can we have a motion for a continuance? Sure, absolutely. We haven't finished that off yet, go ahead.
So just thinking, what I was thinking of was something like a booklet that you would pick up, say at Hubbard's, and it shows you a deck and it's stained that color. Is there a railing company that's a supplier that you could see a book with the picture? And would it be online and that you could just
Yeah,
right now,
probably.
and would that be something you would look at?
But we still need the rendering of the finished product.
Oh, in the.
And we're not going to get a rendering of the finished product that you want that's going to be able,
It's going to be a suggestion.
yeah,
Okay.
we
How
had,
much, how much longer do we have in this meeting? Or is this pretty much it? That's it? Okay.
I'll tell you what, I always say I'm one voice, I'm one vote. That's clear even to our new members, please. If no one objects and there's no reason why we can't, I can put this to the end of the meeting. I can't tell you exactly when that is.
Yeah, sure.
Push it back and see how do you feel about that? We can do the rest of the stuff. I will tell you, we don't have much left on this
Yeah,
agenda.
I think I can pull up what it would look like. Or I could try to.
Or could we, the project's pretty basic, except for the railing.
And the finished product, no.
Could we approve it based on, Jim, you could approve the railing, because
I could run it by the chair or something to that effect.
run it by the chair.
It's unusual, but I think we always try to work things
Appreciate
to
it.
help people out. But as I said, I'm one voice, one vote, so. In fact, we've never done this before. So what I would suggest, and I think it's within our jurisdiction, to allow, Perry, do you want that finished product picture or what? Are you okay with us letting Jim, because he has a pretty good idea what we'll
Yes,
approve?
I'm okay with that.
Can we say
Yeah.
that it's
Yeah.
contingent on it meeting with all the guidelines?
Jim.
Yeah, what? Per staff.
So it would be, just so I'm of understanding, so it's wood, it's white, and railing with detail, and so the applicant will provide that detail to me. I will work with Cheryl to confirm that it meets the standards of the guidelines, and that would be just a condition of an approval.
Yeah, I think,
Are we all right with that?
Is the railing on the staircase adequate?
Well, you definitely want a railing on the staircase going up to that floor.
Same thing.
Yeah.
It's got a top rail, a bottom rail, and posts. And he's gonna paint it white.
There was a picture in the, I mean,
We got it last
there's a sketch in here, I mean,
You
that's,
probably have your carpenters ready to go, right?
I mean, I have a picture of,
No, I mean, they're ready to start tomorrow.
oh,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they could start tomorrow, yeah.
How quickly can you get it to Jim and Karen?
I think probably by tonight. I mean, I have a guy who does renders, and he's 12 hours ahead, so it'll be morning his time tonight. So yeah, probably by the morning. By the morning.
Hours ahead, so he's
Yeah.
in Hong Kong, maybe? Australia. No, Australia's more
Either the Middle East or I have someone in China who can do it.
China. I thought it was China, yeah, okay. So, okay. It's unusual, but there's no reason why we can't, Jim, right?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
correct.
so sometimes we just have to think out of the box.
I love it.
So if all the commissioners are okay with this, I'm going to, in fact, I'll make the motion, so I'm responsible for it, if everybody's okay with that. So I make the motion that we continue the application for 394 South Street, Hyannis, map 308, parcel 128, with regard to renovations.
we're not continuing, correct?
Oh, sorry, we're not continuing, correct.
Right.
We're giving it to Jim. But
Right.
It would be
you're going to get the
it would just be a
renovations, you're
condition.
going to send them to
There'll be a
staff.
condition.
Staff, yes. And if it's not acceptable, which is where my mind was at the time, then we will continue it then. So we've covered both, if we still have to work on it. Although he can always get,
I would simply
duplicate
just
changes.
recommend findings that if you want to approve it with a condition that we review that together.
okay,
So it would just be
that we
approval
review
with
it
a
together.
condition.
Okay? Anyone to second that? Okay, so, Commissioner Brown.
I'm abstaining.
Oh, you're abstaining, yeah. Commissioner Watson.
I'm in favor.
Commissioner Clark. Commissioner Doherty. Commissioner Kay.
Aye.
Commissioner Wentworth. I also say aye.
Thank you
It's
so much.
unusual, we haven't done it, but there's a first time for everything.
Wow. Thank you very much.
And we obviously trust,
Great.
they know how picky we are.
Good luck and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Do you have all your stuff back?
There's some,
Oh, here you go.
Do you want to keep some?
Yeah. No, we won't need it. We won't need it. We won't need it.
Thank you.
thank you.
thank you.
No, you're fine, you're fine.
All set.
Yeah.
Thank you for working with us on that.
I'll send Jim. I'll send you
And,
I'll send you all the renderings.
well, no, send it to staff, send it to staff. Yeah. The, tidings. Is it a boy or a girl?
Boy.
You see how much fun we have on this? All right. So, matters not reasonably, were not reasonably anticipated by the chair. Actually, before I do that, because that might take a while, and I can't even see you over there. Does our town council liaison have anything to say to us?
No, I don't have any issues.
I forgot to ask that last time. I apologized afterward.
Quite content.
Okay. So matters not reasonably anticipated. As you know, at the last meeting, well, I think it was about a year ago, we had a subcommittee that met with planning, the planning board, and we worked together to revise the guidelines. And I've been pushing for this for years, because if you have guidelines that contradict one another, then you don't have consistency, and it becomes things like the kid going from mom says no, so you go to dad, or dad says no, you go to mom. It's the same here, you go to planning. So we need to have consistent guidelines. It only made sense. If you have a rule that applies in the town, then it shouldn't be, somebody else has no rule on it. Anyway, so we worked hard on it for 3 or 4 months, I think, wasn't it? We went around the town, et cetera, and we came up with a proposal. We did not pass the HHDC by one vote. There were reasons for it, and they were justifiable reasons, because we do have to watch after the historical, and planning doesn't have the historical aspect, although they do now, because that was one of the things that we added into their guidelines that they did accept. But there were still some things for the HHDC to accept it. So we put together another subcommittee, and we have met, I think it's twice now. On that subcommittee is myself, Commissioner Doherty, and Commissioner Kay, and staff, of course, and also Steve, who's the chair of the planning board. So I think I feel comfortable. I'm going to ask for input from Commissioner Kay on how you feel about it now, and Commissioner Doherty, and then I'm going to turn it over to Jim. All right, you don't have to go in detail. Do you think we came up with something that's workable?
Are we discussing the,
We're not going to go into the details on it. I should also add, we are going to have a meeting for everyone here and the planning board again in their entireties. And we will go over them like we did last time, page by page, to make sure everybody's happy with it, and then it'll go to a vote. Because everyone on both this commission and that board should have, I don't make decisions for the HHDC. As I say, one voice, one vote. Jim, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I'll jump in real quick first, if that's all right. So, as Cheryl mentioned, we talked about next steps after Planning Board and Hyannis Historic work towards unified design guidelines, and the discussion at this commission was, let's look at ways we can better the guidelines and get to potential update that we can agree to. So a working group was established of 3 members here, and the chair of the planning board joined, so that because they have an adopted set of guidelines already, to make sure that we're working in unison. So we did meet a couple times, this working group, to do everything we can to, I think, better the guidelines. And what you see here is the result of that. I was going to hand those out this evening. Yep. The thought, I think, based on our last discussion with the working group, was hand them out. You guys take a look at them, see if you agree with some of the changes. A lot of track changes, so it's all in red, all the changes. Plus, you'll find, which I didn't put in red because it would just be all red, the whole section on signs is updated with a lot more graphical aspects to it. And then a bunch of appendix as well, which the native planting list, just so you know, will be expanded. It's kind of hard to read because there's so many plants and it's a little small at the moment. But I think the thought is take it in, review it. If you have any questions, concerns, additional comments, send them to staff, and then we will relay them back. We'll put them on proposed changes here. And the thought was at your next meeting, which would be August 7th, if you guys agree to move forward, or if you want to at least consider moving forward, the process would be a public hearing. So it would be, be a published public hearing, letting the public know that you guys are considering updating your regulations and guidelines. And then at that time, I believe it needs at least a 14-day notice. So 21st might be actually too short. But your first meeting in September, you could have potentially a public hearing to update these guidelines if you guys agreed to them. I think a lot of good work, though, went into it. But I'll pass these around, and you guys can take it in and let me know what you think.
I didn't think it was worth going through it page by page tonight. Let them peruse through it. But it will be on the next agenda.
Big staple.
there you are.
We'll get in there.
Can you give one to town councilor?
It's like a rivet.
Oh, yeah, Charlie Wallen? Sure. I got a PDF, too, if you prefer.
I'll get one later.
Thanks, Mark.
You're welcome, Jim.
A lot of new appendices on there so that everything's clear, and the wording is, we've spent a lot of time on the wording, working with strongly or must, recommended. So in other words, Must is, it has to
A lot
be.
more.
It's a lot
specific
more, yeah.
to what we're doing, and it's given everybody, a lot of different opportunities, and there are a lot more requirements than guidelines. But for me, the whole package is summed up on page 20. If you look at it, we got away from that cityscape where we're just going to have, just building after building after building, where they can vary it from 3 stories to 2 stories to 1 story. So I am very much in favor of it.
So is this the planning board's?
One that they have at the moment, well, it's amended.
Right, so that's the base, was the one that everyone worked on together. That was the baseline, and then we said, how can we improve it further?
And so that's what the changes we can see.
That's all the red line
Green
changes.
And green and red?
All the red line, all the reds, and then also the signs, the whole sign section for the most part, and all the appendix. We didn't have any appendix before.
Actually,
And
Jim,
then some additional images as well you'll find in there as well.
could you
But
send me down a copy after all?
yeah,
Because, now we're going to go to page numbers. Thank you.
And it
Oh,
might be
sorry,
obvious.
there's plenty of them down there.
I can get,
It might be obvious to some, but just want to make sure. So, I mean, a lot of this is track changes, so this gray box is in existence because track changes exist. Once we accept all or whatever we do with the track changes, this gray box goes away and it fulfills the whole page there, so it will expand out.
I did get one, thanks.
That gray box won't exist once the end result is there.
So it gets bigger, and the pictures get bigger as well.
But, it's 70-something pages, so we don't have to sift through it tonight. Just thought it would be, I think the working group thought it would be good to get the ball rolling on this.
Yeah. Yes, Commissioner Wentworth.
And the color coding, the green and the red, what is the distinction?
If you see the table of content, it matches the table of contents there, so the very first flip, page 2.
Okay, great,
Yep.
thank you.
Yep.
So, in other words, the existing one was passed at the joint meeting and the public hearing in 2023. And so that is their stuff. We had things like the HHDC put in, which get the first few pages, and then we fine-tuned it again so that it could pass this commission, should this commission, the commissioners so choose to do so. But I think we've addressed everything that was commented on and came up with what we thought would be acceptable. So that's, any questions on that?
I have a question. What board or commission would we work with to ensure that, like, let's say we make all these nice design changes to the downtown area, but we want to protect it from like a very well-designed rehab clinic or homeless shelter that would kind of negate a lot of these upgrades?
A lot of that is within the discretion of this commission.
It is, okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but, if we see something that, and then they could appeal it.
The aesthetics is
Yeah.
absolutely, the architectural features
Yeah.
is within, the use is not.
It is not, right.
So if it looks nice, but they're handing out methadone,
Is
that's okay.
methadone an architectural feature?
That's the question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So,
but what commission would be in charge of that usage of the actual building?
Yep, the zoning use. So
Yes.
so it would be depending on, what the development is. If it's, say, going into an existing structure, it would likely be a by right, just going in as a change of use. And specific to the mention there, that's a protected use. So that would be discussions with the building commissioner.
so if they do meet all the guidelines, it's one thing with us, but, because we do not dictate the inside, we do not dictate what they use it for.
That's why I asked which
Yeah,
commission.
so it is the zoning.
I know.
But also, we have had it come up before where it was a safety issue, and in our purview, it does have, I think it's worded, I'd have to check it, but I think the exact wording is the general well-being of the people who in the town.
Is it in our
So-
purview or is not in our purview?
The architectural features of anything they're
Architectural,
presenting, yes,
architectural.
would be.
So I thought that maybe I'll go back and look at the original document. Did we remove any of the, not the use, but, not zoning, but I thought that there was something within the historic that if it was a detrimental to the character and nature of the historic district,
The key word there's, or words are detrimental to the character of the historical district.
quality of life. I mean, that's what the whole, that's what the
I
whole
mean,
character
so
says.
I think that's a
within-
different topic, that's
You're saying
ordinance.
architectural, you're saying character, which one?
Well,
In our purview.
So you look in the ordinance, so the design guidelines have nothing to do with it. It's the ordinance in terms of your applicability. I can pull out the ordinance, I think I have it, yeah.
I should have done the purview tonight.
Maybe it's under jurisdiction.
It's 11224, I think.
Except as this article may otherwise provide, no building, structure, setting, or part thereof within the district shall be constructed, demolished, moved, or altered in any way that affects any exterior architectural features subject to the public view until the commission shall first have issued a certificate of appropriateness, certificate of non-applicability, or certificate of hardship with respect to such construction, demolition, movement, or alteration.
And then you go to our purview as well, and that has the character in it.
So again, the jurisdiction is, you guys, this commission is meant to review architectural improvements that will impact the historic nature of the area.
And zoning handles use of the building, what happens?
Zoning handles use, yes.
Okay.
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
One of the reasons that we're doing this with the planning, maybe we'll do it with zoning as well, I don't know, we haven't even thought of that yet, is because we had some similar differences between the planning board and this, so we were trying to get some sort of consistency between the two. So, anyway, so if you could read it, send any things that you have questions on in particular. That's what the three of us did before, the four of us did. And we'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting. Get that to where we can then organize a joint meeting. Okay? And I want to thank not only the commissioners who participated and gave freely of their time, but also Jim for all the hard work you've put into this. And any other planning staff that you had who are helping you with this, like making all those copies.
Just one more question.
Sure.
Once we go through this and let's say we have a unified design and guidelines, how do we go about resetting Hyannis Main Street Historic to sign compliance, painting compliance, all sorts of other things that are out there right now that are just being put out there because someone else did it, someone else did it, someone else did it. And, I mean, how do we go about getting that corrected?
That came up about 7.5 years ago. And that's why there's a reference in here to going to the building department, building commissioner. We recognized that problem years ago. And so I and Brian Florence from building department met, and we put together a enforcement, a letter that would be sent out. And it happened because we had a couple complaints with regard to just that, but it was specific to properties, which would be inappropriate for me to mention them in this setting. But so what would happen is if it comes to our attention, then we would write to them and say, this is not in compliance. We notice you just painted your building red, green, and blue stripes. Does not really meet the historic character. Would you please come before us and discuss it? Hopefully that would then resolve it. If it doesn't, then we send it over to Brian Florence's department at that time, the building department, and then they have the powers of enforcement. We do not have powers of enforcement. That is not our That is not something that we do, but we can highlight it. We can ask them to come before us. And quite frankly, where it came up before, and the red, blue, green, and red side is not what happened, but it was an outlandish. They didn't know, and they corrected it. So it was taken. We've never had to use that letter.
So if we have, as a commission, if we have a subcommittee that goes down Main Street right now, the way it is right now, and put together a list of violations of even existing sign, what was in the original existing signage, we could put a letter together to the property owners and let them know that they're in violation.
I think we'd have to check into it and check into that part legally. I'm talking about things that just happened. Some of these things would be different they'd be grandfathered, I would have thought, because it would have, let's say it's 30 years, they've had it for 30 years. But something that's new and they've just started. And you get a lot of people that come in, and fortunately they do. They invest in the community, open up shops or restaurants and whatever else, which is wonderful. But they come from an area where they weren't in a historic district or something, and they didn't know that we have a historic commission. So I know the couple cases we had, they didn't know us fix it. Can you give us a couple months to fix it? Sure, and they did. So I think we would have to, if you want to put together a list, and I do know there are violations out there, I think we all do, then, we can try to figure out, well, this has been, I know my grandmother used to say that, that was that way, whatever, how many of them are grandfathered?
No, but there are ordinances for signs right now.
There are.
Right. And Laura and I took a walk down Main Street about a year ago, and there were tons of violations.
Yeah, I know, there are.
And I understand the new guidelines, we can't enforce those, because this is all for new buildings. But I think what Laura's trying to say, how can we enforce those people that are not abiding by the ordinances right now? Is that the list that goes to Brian Florence, and then he has to do it?
I think we'd have to know, my feeling is, and we'd have to check it out with legal, is we'd have to know when it happened. I mean, I know there's a lot of violations out there, but you don't want people coming back and saying, it's been in there for decades. And if we don't know and we see the violations, I would have thought, I think I would like to run that by legal.
If you're not supposed to have a neon sign,
Right.
can't have a neon sign, and
Yeah.
they should be taking it down. I don't think that's grandfathered in anywhere.
Why don't we ask that question? Can you check out with legal on that? Because I wouldn't.
It would be the building commissioner that would.
Building commissioner?
But I'm happy to check back in with him and see, where he stands on that. Not a problem.
Okay, it's just, I wouldn't want us to suddenly be seen as a,
I know we can't do
yeah.
guidelines,
Well, yes, but I just want to be careful, so, be careful of the people in the Historic Commission, because they're walking around trying to figure out anything. We need to put the sign away for, Let's find out let's find out the facts first, if that's okay, and we'll have that for the next. I know we have the enforcement letter, because I saw that problem, but it was with regard to, it was with regard to things that have been brought to our attention that have just happened.
Is there a fine with this letter?
That's building department. They decide what the I think they do have extensive powers, but they are not our powers.
But as a historic commission, I think it is with our purview to identify where the historic character, whether it be signage or our, equipment that's sitting out, or chairs and things that maybe not have gone before us, things like that, inflatable things and
There's a lot
movable
of them.
things and all things like that are not part of the character of Main Street or Hyannis, so historic.
There are racks of clothing that are out on the streets, and
It's
that was just because
one of those
COVID.
things is, how do we go about
They're not
getting
doing
it back in some kind of a line? We talk about two-way Main Street, and it's going to bring down business, it's going to make everybody kind of want to go down Main Street. Well, you can't go down Main Street if you don't have
I do agree with you.
have a nice presentation, either that or signage or displays that are creeping out on the sidewalk. So I think that if there's a way for us to be able to identify them right now, find out whether or not, I mean, anything that we're seeing right now most likely have been within at least 15 years.
Yeah.
And it's because nobody stopped them.
So what I would say to that is, let's get the facts on that. And I will also contact the building department and check with regard to that again. But I will say that these new guidelines apply going forward. We can't impose them going back.
Yep.
Yeah.
But we have guidelines that are in place right now that are in violation.
Yeah, I agree.
This is for everything new, but they got to abide by the old.
I agree.
And I think no one's watching that right now.
Yes.
Ancillary issue, I guess, that there is no manpower for all the complaints that have been made in the town. I think the town council has to address that sooner or later. We need to have more people than just one guy going out addressing all. I mean, Brian Florence has probably had 700 complaints so far this year, at least. And now you'll add some others to his plate, and he'll never get to it. He just can't do everything.
So that's why we organized the letter, because he did have a lot of them. So any of them that were brought to our attention, that we could then send them to him, that we have asked them to deal with it. But maybe it's a matter that he and I should get together again and see about what we might do about that. You know, we got the first step in place. But I think your comments are very valid. You're absolutely right. I am aware of a lot of this. Not 700 of them, but I wouldn't doubt it. But the...
Last count, a couple of months ago, was 500 complaints.
Yeah, but we're only talking about, Main Street.
I know.
And that's something that we could control here. Laura and I could.
I think a complaint coming from a commission would be addressed.
It has more teeth.
Whereas, the 500 complaints he had a couple of months ago by neighbors, complaining about this or that, a lot of those go unaddressed, and there's some concern about that.
Well, also because the way the procedure that was set up is that we would write to them first and ask them to come before us and try, as we always do, it's always been my platform, to try, as we did tonight, to try to work with the individual and try to make it work, figure out how to fix it. And it hasn't happened yet, but we could always end up with someone who says, well, I'm going to keep it this way, and in which case we then notify the building department and say, this has come before us, this was the response. And I agree with Town Councilor Bloom. It would have a lot more teeth without targeting people. So.
Who maintains cleaning the streets? Public Works?
I think it's Public Works, isn't it?
So if some of these complaints are referencing clutter on the streets, maybe Public Works is the people to look at it.
No, clutter on the streets is because they're encroaching on, either they didn't come before us on their outside equipment, or they're encroaching on to the sidewalk with signs and
Well, that's
displays and things
misuse
like
of the use of their property.
Correct.
But that has nothing to do with the historic structure that they're in.
Not the structure, but it has to do with the signage and the, for example, the character of Main Street. Just like the A-frames, we control those, and we get hardship ones on that, and those A-frames are now everywhere, and everything else is just moving out on the sidewalk.
So let me make a suggestion. There's a lot of really great comments and input that's been stated. I don't disagree with any of it. Wasn't aware it was that many, but I would suggest read through this, see if any comments, send them to staff, and in the meantime, it will be on the next agenda. In the meantime, I will try to meet with Brian if possible. I know he's a very busy man, very dedicated. It is still Brian, is it not? It is, yeah.
It is, and I could also, while we were talking, I was thinking maybe other avenues, as I agree with Charlie. It's, the commissioner is pretty busy. I could also talk with asset management, because any use of the public sidewalk requires a license through asset management, so I could see what they have on file and what they don't have on file, perhaps. I can start a conversation with them.
Okay. Do you want me to go on that? Maybe have a meeting of Brian Asset Management, yourself, me, or whatever, or you know what the commissioners have said. I'm fine with.
Yeah, I can start a conversation, and I'll let you know
That sounds
if there's
good.
any avenue there.
Okay. Because right now, we're just kind of tossing it back and forth. Let's read what we've got to propose with regard to our purview. And Jim, did you have, I saw your finger go.
Oh, no, I just put my phone away.
You usually go like this.
Just loading his gun.
And in the meantime, we'll try to get some information for it. But, there are things that we do not want to put in there that are not in our purview. We have to stick to our purview. But a lot of good comments. So, is there any more on that? No? So, that's the matters not anticipated by the chair. You know what the plan is now, where it is? And does everyone understand the color coding? Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the July 3rd draft minutes?
So moved.
I'll second that.
And seconded by Commissioner Kay. Commissioner Cronin?
Aye.
Oh, by the way, if you weren't at that meeting, you should not be voting, just to let people know. Commissioner Watson?
Forget if I was there. Was that the last meeting?
Yeah.
You were.
Aye.
Yeah. Commissioner Clark?
Aye.
Commissioner Doherty?
Aye.
Commissioner Kay?
Aye.
Commissioner Wentworth?
Aye.
I also say aye, so those are approved. The next HHDC meeting is on August 7th, and the one after that is August 21st. Staff will take care of the applicant we had tonight. Thank you very much for offering to do that. I don't think I've left anything. Oh, yes, I have left something out. Corey, welcome again. I know I said it to begin with, but thank you for, I'm sure you'll be great. You've got a great teacher there.
Yep.
Staff, all righty. I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
And what is this? We realize?
Yep. We could touch on it real quick before
Yeah.
adjournment. if
I
that's
did
okay.
mention it earlier, but if you want to say anything additional.
So just at the last meeting, there was beginning discussion on what the purview is for demolition. And so Corey did a great job of kind of sifting through our ordinance and kind of understanding what the requirements are, but then also a little bit of guidance in terms of what MHC's definition is as well. And we're going to further, there was a question, I believe at the last meeting, about the difference between demolition delay and HHDC, how it's described in our ordinance about allowing for demolition. And the understanding is you, as the Historic Commission, can approve or deny demolition, and delay does not come into play. However, I just want to confirm that because demolition delay has been a big subject throughout the Commonwealth and has always been understood that there's only a certain amount of time that you can delay someone from demoing. But that's not how it's written in our ordinance. So I just want to confirm. But as of right now, as it's written in our ordinance, there is no delay aspect of it. It's a yay or nay.
Can I just, another question to put forward on that, and that is
Correct me if I'm wrong.
historic, Barnstable Historic can delay for 18 months. So the question is that if it's applying to the historic recognition of the town, does it apply to us? I do not believe it does, but it's probably a question we want to verify. Because if it's written, we are recognized as a historic town, and the state has, approved, that historic standing. We are we have three, just for those who don't know, we have three historic commissions in this town. It's the Old Kings Highway, the Barnstable Historic, and the Hyannis Main Street and Waterfront Historic District Commission. So I think the Old Kings Highway is able to delay for 18 months. But I think since I have checked that out in my ordinance myself, it does not say that, but I'm wondering if what the state says is something. So if we could ask that question.
We'll follow up on those questions, absolutely.
With that subject on demolition, assume that maybe this commission does give a no to a demolition. Is there any consequence to the owner for the demolition by neglect when they don't do anything and they just let the property fall?
A demolition by neglect, I don't think we have anything in our ordinance for a demolition by neglect. We could look at samples if other towns have demolition by neglect bylaws or ordinances and bring them forward to you guys.
Okay, thank you.
We had a session in Barnstable Historic where we had a committee, or a subcommittee that worked on demolition by neglect.
I was on that committee.
So was I.
Yeah. It's a crowded room. When I said I'd entertain a motion for adjournment, I thought, Tom, you made the motion, it was seconded, or am I getting that confused with something else?
We did.
I thought we did.
seconded it.
Yeah, Commissioner Doherty had made the motion, and then you seconded it.
Oh, I
So-
didn't get it.
Yeah, that's why I've been sitting here thinking, we haven't gone to a vote, but we do have a motion and a second on the table.
So who moved it? Tom? You
Tom,
moved to adjourn?
and it was Commissioner Kay who seconded it. So I think if we have any further questions, I'm going to say, as a technicality, since we have a motion on it for adjournment and a second on the table, I think it would be more proper to send the questions to staff, because right now we're further into discussion, just to keep everything clean and squeaky. Welcome to new people. Welcome to Town Council Liaison. To go through with that vote, Commissioner Cronin?
Aye.
Commissioner Watson?
Aye.
Commissioner Clark?
Aye.
Commissioner Doherty?
Aye.
Commissioner Kay?
Aye.
Commissioner Wentworth?
Aye.
I also say Wentworth. Thank you to staff for all your help. David, we are adjourned.